Thanks for joining me for another Painting with the Maniacs series. In this ongoing series, I hope is going to keep ongoing because it's all dependent on you, the viewers, with your feedback, your views, your subscriptions, and so on. If this is popular, I'm going to keep going on with this and doing more and more as time goes on. But in either case, I'm starting to ramble. So let's get into what we're going to be painting today. You can see here, this is a Space Marine. This is from the game Space Hulk by Games Workshop. This is Brother Scipio. I think I'm saying his name right. I'm not sure. You know, he's originally a blood angel, and all of the artwork and everything in the images is painting him just like a blood angel, but I kind of changed it up. I want them to look differently than your classic blood angel. Now, I don't know if this painting scheme actually exists for blood angels. Some people might say it looks like a Black Templar. Some people might say it looks like a Death Guard or Death Watch. In either case, this is just my own painting scheme on how I painted it. And that's it. I'm going to show you what the scheme looks like before we start painting Brother Scipio. This is the scheme that we're going to be painting. You can see here, the emblems are white. He's pretty dirty looking, again, because if you've seen the Lord of the Rings painting tutorials I did, everybody knows I like making the miniatures look dirty as much as possible. Sometimes you can't, obviously, but this is what we're going to be painting, is this kind of color scheme. I really enjoyed it, so hopefully you will too, and let's get on with doing this painting. Before we start painting, I just want to give a quick shout out to all of my Patreon supporters that help us grow this channel, get more paints in, and so on. And thank you very much for this, because you are helping us just make Board Game Maniacs larger and larger. If you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, just go to patreon.com and look up Board Game Maniacs, and you can just click on it and subscribe. You can become an official sponsor. First thing I've done here is I actually just airbrushed Abaddon Black primer just to base them out, and I let that dry. You can see it's solid, because the original, they come in like an orangish color, I guess, like an orangish red for the plastic. So I just based them out just to help the paint stick a little bit more. And before I go on any further, just a little bit of advice here. I am not a professional painter by no means. This is more of just videos that you can put on in the background while you're painting, so you hear some talking or so forth. You can take my painting seriously. You can just take it for noise. It is up to you. Just word of caution again, is I am no professional miniature painter at all. First color we're going to paint is going to be the white, and it is Palladith Witch Flesh. You can see right there. And we're going to be using mainly Citadel paint for this. Now, I already have some in a little container, and I've watered it down slightly just to help smooth it out a bit. And we're just going to go on with the painting. Now, what white that I'm going to be painting for this is going to be like this here part, which is the wings. I don't know exactly what you call it. The emblems on the shoulder too as well. Any cloth that he has, I'm going to be painting white. So pretty simple, nothing too drastic, nothing too difficult. And we're just gonna start painting. And you can see already that you can tell that the paint is watered down, not considerably, but just a little bit, just to help smoothen out a bit. Now, I don't always water down my paints, I have to say. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depending on what I'm painting. But this here, I figured I'd water it down just to get a little bit more smoothness. Now, I want them to look rough, obviously, but I want to create the roughness more with just painting techniques as opposed to painting it undiluted. Because when you undilute the paint, like when you paint it right at the pot, it can get looking a little on the rough side. Which, not that there's something bad with that, because there's not. It just, you know, there's certain ways for painting certain things, and that's just the way it is. Now, if you've been following on too as well with any of my painting along with me or painting with the Maniac, because I finally think I come up with the name, which is Painting with the Maniac. And if you've seen that, you see that my camera angles, my lighting and everything has evolved over the progression of this painting series. Now, I think this is going to be more of a permanent setup, if I'm not mistaken, for this. And the reason why, because I kind of set the camera more overhead so that you can see everything when I'm changing the angle. Hopefully you can see everything when I'm changing the angles of the miniature when I'm painting, because my hands kind of blocked it at some point, and I'm just still trying to improve onto this. I've asked everybody into the community, you know, like their ideas on what would make a better camera angle and so on. So I thank you for that. I am still reading them. I'm still learning from them. And we're just going to keep pushing forward with that because it's just great. And you can see I already made a mistake here. I'm not the most accurate painter, but it's not like I can't fix the mistakes just by going over them with some Abaddon Black just for touch-ups, which we will do as time goes on and progresses, because we all know that, you know, everybody makes mistakes and we just have to just go and live with it. And the only valuable mistake is ones that you learn from, and that's it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to continue on painting the palette witch flesh, and once I'm done I'll be back and I'll show you what it looks like. You can see how the white is painted onto this miniature. Now there's a lot less amount of white on this miniature as opposed to the other miniatures that I painted, but I see here we're going to paint this emblem. I was going to paint it silver just to make it a little different, but I guess we'll just go ahead and paint that white. So after I'm done with that, we'll come back with the next color. I painted that emblem white, and this kind of brings me to a point of what I want to say is I noticed with Warhammer 40K and that they have a unity for the way that your army looks, and you want to keep that. Now with the rest of the Black Space Marine color that I painted and so on, they didn't have silver for the emblem, so I'm glad I decided not to do that because we have to try to keep with the unity of the whole thing. And you can see I'm not exactly accurate with my straight lines and that, but that's okay because again, we are going to fix all this up as we go along. Not too difficult at all, and plus we were putting the wash to make it look dirty too as well. I don't have to be as accurate. But in either case, we're going to move on here, and we are going to use Mephiston Red, and we're going to paint all of the red, so that's like the lenses of the eyes, the red part or the wax part of the seal that they have onto them, and we're going to paint his bolter too as well. I think it's called a bolter. Again, I am not that familiar with 40K and everything, but in the Space Hulk it does explain what the weapons are and so on. So we're just going to keep going on anyhow. So I'm going to paint the lenses of the eyes first, and I'm using my insane detail brush if anybody is wondering. One part that I find very difficult to do is the eyes in the miniature. Now that is for this miniature or any miniature for that matter, because the eyes are so small, and usually I just will shade in the eyes and leave it at that, or wash in the eyes I should say, and leave it like that. But the other miniatures for the Space Marines that I'm painting has the red into it, and we have to keep with consistency. Like I said, consistency. So I'm going to just continue on painting, and I'm going to be painting his wax seals now. I've missed so many different wax seals when I'm painting, because you know, you start painting, you're like, oh, I think I got them all, and then you're like, oh, I missed a couple. So that's when you want to go back and just continue on, and hopefully you won't miss them all. So I'm just looking over this closely, find out where else there may be some seals on the, oh, there's one in the back right there. Again, it's hard sometimes to see where the seals are. You know, some people, what I've seen on the internet when they were priming their miniatures, they say, you know, I don't use black because it's hard to see the details, and I find it difficult to see the details. But The reason why I prime these black is because their primary color is black, so it's just saving me a step, which is good because anyone who paints miniatures probably knows that, you know, time is of the essence, especially if you are doing like commission painting, because you have to be fast, because the longer it takes, the more money you're losing. And that's kind of like with any job, though, to be honest. So I think I got all the seals, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just turning this around this way to see if I missed any here. But it looks like I didn't miss any. All right, so yeah, I think that's it for the seals. But now I'm going to paint the bolter pistol, and I'm not painting it all red. Just like in my other ones I painted, I was selective in what I wanted to paint with the red here. So I just have to kind of keep with that sort of theme. And the red that I'm using, again, the Mephiston red, it is watered down slightly. It's not just straight out of the pot. And what you'll see on the channel in the very near future is playing Space Hulk. My son and I will be playing Space Hulk. He likes the Gene Stealers and I like the Space Marines. So pretty much I think that's what we're going to be doing, is he's going to be using the Gene Stealers and I'm going to be using the Space Marines. So having said that, if you've played Space Hulk before, please let me know what you think of it. If there's any part of the game that you think should be changed, or, you know, like customized in any way, shape, or form, I'd be interested to see what you say. Now, I played Space Hulk not a lot, but I did play it in the past, not on camera, obviously, but so that's why we're deciding to paint these and put them on camera and play the game, because I bought Space Hulk a while ago and it's just been sitting there and collecting dust, and I do not like anything to collect dust that I buy. And my friends come over, the other maniacs will come over when we're shooting videos or just having like a game night, and they look at my collection and are like, you didn't even open these yet. And I look, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. And the reason why is because I get them and I totally forget that I got them. And then that's another way of kind of like putting a fire underneath my butt, because my friends come over like, hey, you need to get these so we can play the games and everything else. And that's just the way it works. It's good like that. I'm just being as careful as possible with this. Just to finish painting off the red for the bolter. Just thinking where else. Oh yeah, it's got an inside part. You can't really see because of the camera angle. Again, no matter what camera angle you have, there's going to be times that you're going to be blocking. Because I couldn't figure out a camera angle that works best to be able to, you know, do all the painting and show every step. Too difficult. Well, I think it's too difficult. You may have a solution for this. I would love to hear it, because I love learning new things and learning new camera angles and setup and audio setup and everything. Like, all of that is definitely, I would love to hear your comments on everything, because it's another way of learning. And it's very important, because knowledge is power. And that's just it. I think this is his ammo clip that I'm painting there. And again, I'm not really following a specific painting scheme. This is just something that I'm like, you know what, I really like these colors, and I'm gonna paint them on these, because I'm playing the game. I want to play the game with miniatures and the colors of miniatures that I like. Because like talking to a lot of 40K players, I'm like, well, why did you pick this army? And a lot of them tell me the same thing, and that is when you're first starting out and playing 40K, don't go by stats, go by what you think looks cool. And you know, that's kind of in essence what I'm doing here, is I'm just painting what I think looks cool. Now, there are probably going to be people out there like, you know what, that's totally wrong, I don't like the look of it. And that's fine, everybody is entitled to their opinion. And that's just the way it is, that's life. So there is kind of like the bolter, what I want painted red onto the bolter itself. It's not exactly neat, but as always, I will go in and fix it with my Abaddon Black when I'm done, before I put any washes over, just to tidy up everything to make it look a lot neater and more precise. I'll make it look all pretty before I make it look all dirty, if that makes sense. And I just seen a part that I missed. Right here. This is the part of the ammo, top part of the ammo. And there we go. So that wasn't too hard. So we're gonna move on with the next color now. The next thing we're gonna paint is, we are going to be painting like all of the banners and the seals that are onto his armor. And to do that, I've chosen Screaming Skull to paint that with. And again, it is watered down a little bit, just to help with the smoothness of it. And that's just that. So you can see here that he has a banner of some sort. So we're just going to paint that. Getting quiet and it's messy. We'll fix that. Now, there's going to be some painting that you do that you can't, you know, be messy like this. You're going to be accurate the whole time. It's good to try to practice being accurate the entire time. It just, I find it to be better, because you're going to end up being faster. Now, I'm still trying to practice being accurate, and it's a constant battle with me. Again, I am not professional in any way, but I try my best and I forget the rest, and that's it. And on top of trying my best and forgetting the rest, anybody who comments down below and lets me know about, you know, ways that they paint it and how they were able to speed up their process, I'm obviously going to read it and adapt it and, you know, learn from what other people are telling me and just continuing on, because it just helps me become a better painter. And I'm all up for becoming a better painter, because I want to become a better painter, a faster painter, because I got oodles and oodles and oodles of miniatures that need to get paint on them. I keep saying when I'm playing games, yeah, I'm going to paint them, but I just kind of put them on the back burner. But now, because we started this series painting with a Maniac, then it's not going to be on a burner anymore, because it's going to have to be done, and that's just that. Because I want to record it and everything else, so because of that, we're going to be painting it and just doing it. Do it, just do it. And that's just that. You can see there's some seals here too as well. So I got to be careful. I don't want to try to get on that. So even though I look like I'm making a mess, which I am making a mess, I'm still trying to be as careful as possible, so that when I do try to hone in my skill, it's going to be less cleanup that I have to do. You can see there's on the shoulder pad here too. Because I'm sure you don't want to waste your time and spending it on so much cleanup. Because because that's counterproductive. And you don't want to be counterproductive. I don't want to be counterproductive. Just wondering if there's any other seals onto him that I can see. Yep, there's one on the back here from the red. So I gotta paint that. See there. I don't see any other seals anywhere else. The back of them right here, you can see the under part of that seal. Comment down below too and let me know if you ever have done this, not painting seals or anything, but you know, you're going through, you're painting miniature and so on, and it's like, you know what, I really like the way this is turning out. You're all done and you're ready to seal the paint so that the paint's not going to come off. And then, you know, it's like, oh, I forgot this part, or I missed this spot or whatever. Because I do that a lot. I'd like to know if it's just me or is a lot of people do that. But I'll be back after I clean this all up and we'll start on with the next color. All cleaned up. Now the next color that I'm going to be painting with is Lead Belcher. Now Lead Belcher, I really like this color. I end up using Lead Belcher a lot in a lot of stuff that I end up painting. And we're just going to start adding the Lead Belcher to where the metal parts of the armor are that I want. And this ain't just a damage, but I kind of painted a specific type of theme for these. So anything that kind of jumps out, I'm painting for the metal part, including the metal pipes and so on, and the bottoms of his feet too as well. You can see like right here. When I say the bottoms of his feet, I mean like the rims. I don't have to be so neat with the rim part of his feet because this whole base, it isn't a Space Hulk, so I'm just painting the base with the Lead Belcher too as well. So I don't have to be as accurate with that part. Not a big deal. And I am not using this diluted by any means. I'm just painting it right out of the pot. See here, there's a little bit of one of his pipes there. And it's just a matter of like looking around and really finding out where everything is. Now I did notice that a part that I missed, again, like I said, there's seals right here. So I'm just gonna paint them seals. I just switched colors for a second just so that I can paint the seal where I missed it. It's not too difficult to switch colors. It's pretty easy. Just got to use water. There we go. So continue on with the silver, the Lead Belcher, I should say. Now with the Lead Belcher too as well, I'm going to start adding a little bit of damage, just ever so slightly onto it. And I'm going to put a wash that's going to tone it down, but then I can go over it with a different silver and so on to just keep bringing that up. So I'm just going to keep painting along here with the Lead Belcher. You know, some people from the tutorials that I've seen online when they were painting, not just Space Marines, but just painting miniatures in general, they like to put the wash on before they add like the scratches, the battle damage, and so on. I kind of like to do it in both ways, before and sometimes even afterwards, that I will add it to it. So it's to each his own, I guess. He has kind of like a part for helping for his visor here, I guess, or his helmet. You like that noise. I know you do. And I never took a lesson in my life. And you can probably tell because it's horrible. In either case, just gotta keep painting along here. So I'm gonna paint his gun, part of his gun too, with the lead belcher. But before I do that, I'm just gonna start adding a little bit of the edge highlighting onto his armor in spots. Again, this is gonna be going over with the wash, so it's gonna tone it down considerably. But then any part that I want to bring out again, then I'm just going to have to just go over it with lead belcher again, or maybe like a Rufang steel or something towards them lines. But you get the point. Just kind of going over where you want. Just doing some very slight edging onto it. This part here, it's kind of representing, like I said, the battle damage a bit, so it's don't have to be neat and pristine. It can be a little messy, depending on if you just want to like edge highlight or if you want to make it look all battle damaged. I kind of like combination of both and put some thick lines, thin lines, all that sort of stuff. Just add a little bit of randomness to it. Let's see here. Again, I know this is going to be toned down when I put the wash on. So I'm just kind of adding it into some spots and then rubbing it off to kind of mute it down a little bit with my finger. I'm gonna give him a scratch actually. Right here. Just to help. So after I do all this, I'll be back. Finished all of the lead belcher and I did a little bit of battle damage, as you can see here. So some scrapes on the knees. I did a little bit of edging onto his head and everything else, you know, just painting up where all the silver is. I finished his bolter too as well, that you can see. And I painted right here for the bolter, just selectively. Nothing too drastic or anything that's like, wow. Pretty simple. I painted his vents kind of messy because of where I'm putting a wash over it and that. And again, I will clean this up with some Abaddon black as time goes on if I need to. But that's it. And also I painted the base with the lead belcher too as well. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a complete and thorough wash of him with Agrak's Earthshade. So when I say complete and thorough wash, is I'm not diluting this. I'm pretty much just loading it on everywhere. So, whoops, I just take it and see here, just throwing it on. Now, you're probably not going to notice the wash too much onto the black, but that's no big deal. I'm not worried about that part because it's black. It's kind of just for the white and everything, so that's why I'm adding it where I'm mainly adding it to. And you're saying, well, if that's the case, why don't you just avoid the areas that are black? But it kind of still gives it a little bit of a grungy, not gritty, I'm struggling for my words, grungy look onto it. And that's what I'm going for, is I want him to be dirty from battle. You know, he's into the thick of it, fighting all the Gene Stealers off into the Space Hulk. And I'm also Abaddon Black, not Abaddon Black, jeez, Agrak's Earthshade onto the base too as well. Just a lot. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this like it is, let it set, and then we'll be back for all of the highlighting. It's not going to be a lot of highlighting, but a little bit of highlighting that I'm going to be adding to it. And then he will be done. So we'll be back after that's all dry. Now that the wash is all dry, we're going to start doing our highlighting. And the highlighting for this, the way that I painted it, I didn't really change the colors too much in what I did when I painted primarily with the colors. So for the white, I'm just going to use the Palette Witch Flesh just like I did before, and I'm just going to go over that. And it's going to be like so on and so forth for that. I think the only color that I did change in this was the Roofing Steel to put in like the battle damage highlights over the Lead Belcher. But we'll see. So again, all I'm doing is I'm just bringing out some of the highlights into the emblem a bit. Again, I'm not trying to be like super accurate for this because I want it to be battle, you know, battle-ridden kind of thing. So I'm putting highlights, but I'm not being like super accurate to where I want all the highlights at. Just for that fact, because I want it again to look like he's been in a lot of battles, he's been around for a lot. So just like this. Now you can see there's a pipe here that I did not paint. I went over it with the white, and the reason why I didn't paint it simply is because I'm going to add it afterwards, but I'm going to use Roofing Steel just to make it pop a little bit more. You'll see once I put it on. But anyhow, I'm just going to finish going over all of the white parts that I need to. So this part here onto his shoulder too as well. I'm going to paint all of that. But I'm not like overkilling it too much here. This is all watered down. Guess I should be on camera. When I say watered down, I mean like I diluted it just a little bit with some water. And again, I'm just slightly going over a couple of spots onto it. I'm not putting it on all over it because that would kind of take away from what I added to it already. Just ever so slightly, just to bring it out in certain spots. Pretty simple. And the white here, you can see for the underneath of his emblem. Just throw a little bit there too as well. And you know, pretty easy peasy. A little bit here too as well, wouldn't hurt onto him. So after I do this, the next color that I am going to jump on will be the Screaming Skull, and that's for all of his seals. Just shaking up the paint here a little bit. And this one I am not going to dilute at all. It's going to be just straight out of the pot, but very little. So you can see right here the emblem that he has. I'm just kind of gently going over the raised parts, just ever so slightly, and a little bit in the middle probably. Just like that. And the same with his on his leg too as well. We're going to do the same thing, just go over it just a little bit, just so it will bring it out, make it pop just slightly. Because I want to keep the dirt, I want to keep it showing how dirty it is like this, because I like it. Again, I'm just going to keep adding on to his seal, and when I'm done, I'll be back. The only other highlight that I'm going to add to it now is some Roofing Steel. And it's, again, it's straight out of the pot. I'm doing a little bit of slight edge highlighting and some battle damage in some areas. So like you can see, he's got some scrapes on his knee, so I'm just going to add onto that just slightly. Tap it down a bit, just to get a little bit more damage to it. And same with like his mask or his helmet. Just kind of going over where I added it already. Just to kind of bring out the damage slightly. Nothing too crazy. And again, on the shoulder pads, just a little tiny bit of edge highlighting here, just to go over where I added to the lead belcher already. And I'm just picking out certain spots here and there that I'm painting onto it. Not too drastic. Just little bits here and there. Same with his bolter. A little tiny bit. And a little bit on the red, you know, like it's got scuffed a bit. Wipe it down. This for the ammo part. Just wipe it down. So you kind of get the idea of what I'm doing here. Making a mess. No, I'm selectively highlighting. Just little bits here and there. Same with like his hoses for his bolter and everything. Just kind of touching upon little spots. Just to make it stand out just a little bit, wee little bit. Now for his vents, I'm going to do the same thing. So just like so. Just show it up. Pretty easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I like now how you accent your highlights for like your metal, your battle damage and everything, because I'd be definitely interested in what you do. And I'm happy with this. Like he's definitely got a lot of damage there. I may add a little bit of Abaddon Black right there, just fix up. I'm not a big fan of how thick that line turned out, which we'll do momentarily. But right now I'm just going to edge highlight his base too as well. Just to kind of give it more of that metal look. Like that. Quiet again. This is crazy. It shouldn't be this quiet. Usually not this quiet. What's wrong with me? Ooh, because I'm into this painting. That's why I'm so quiet. So just bringing out, like I said, the edges a bit. I'm not trying to be absolutely neat in any way, because hey, they're fighting gene stealers on the Space Hulk. So it's not going to be neat. No way, Jose. Just like that. See a couple of lines I'm throwing in there. Well, that's pretty easy. You know, the only other part that I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take the Abaddon Black and fix up a couple of little spots that I'm not very happy with, like that part on his head that you can see there. So just a little bit Abaddon Black on the brush. Just painting it down a bit, that's all. Like that. This way you can make things look a little more older. Well, I think you can anyhow. So I'm just going over the scratches a bit over top. Just like that. And I'm quite pleased the way this is. He does match the other miniatures that I've already painted. So again, if we just kind of compare here, you can see everything is pretty much done with this. I just want to leave the paint dry a little bit because there's one other little step that I did with this that I'm going to do too as well. You can probably see it a lot more with this miniature right here. And that is, you can see a little bit of dry brushing that I did. I kind of like the way that looked, and I'm going to use what I use a lot when I'm dry brushing for dark colors. It's the Longbeard Gray. So once this is dry, we'll be back to do some quick dry brushing onto that, and that will end this video. The last step that I'm doing with this again is the dry brush. I'm using Longbeard Gray. It's another Citadel Dry, and I'm just doing some selective dry brushing. So I got some on my brush, just a little bit. And you know, depending on how heavy of a dry brush you want is going to be determined by how much product or paint that you have onto your brush. So again, I'm kind of going over, you know, parts that are kind of raised up, even on his base, just slightly. Base you're not going to notice too much for. You can see there. Just kind of kicking up the edges a bit more onto it. Just like so. Just grab a little bit more on my brush, wipe off the excess. And continue on. You can see there's more of the dry brush going on. You can dry brush with the roofing steel or whatever you want. I did that before and I was okay with the results. I wasn't crazy. But because of the dirt level that I want on this and the battle damage, I found that for me, my own personal, the Longbeard Gray kind of just showed it up a lot better. And again, it looks like I'm dry brushing the entire miniature, but I am picking out certain spots and just adding to it. A little bit more of the base, but it's not really showing up on the base like I said, so I'm not too worried about that. How do you dry brush? Watch some videos online, because that's all I did to learn how to dry brush, and I'm still learning as time goes on. But, you know, that's pretty much it. I'm happy with the way he turned out. He looks pretty battle hardened, which I like. And he kind of finished off that part of the Space Marines for the Space Hulk that I'm doing. But I kind of broke it up into two even teams for Space Hulks, even though they are Blood Angels, and I didn't follow like specific Blood Angel painting scheme. So just make it more interesting and to make it my own too, as well as I decided to go ahead and paint two different teams. Now with the next video that is in this part of the Space Hulk is going to be again another Painting with Maniacs series, and we are going to be painting this now. So you can see here I painted them white instead, and then he's got a whole bunch of dirt and grime onto him and battle damage. And the flamer, you can see there like a lot of scratches and dings. Like I really like how the white turned out Was very pleased with it. So look for the next video for painting this part of the Space Marines, paint them kind of like a white color. Again, this is not Blood Angels painting scheme. It kind of just what I thought would be cool, and I painted half of them this way and half of them with the black color scheme. So look for that video. And remember, if you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, just go to patreon.com and look up Board Game Maniacs, and you'll tell it's our Patreon account because of our logo is the same as what's on our YouTube account and our Facebook page and our Instagram page too as well. So just do that, and also remember, click on the like and the subscribe button and the bell notification to get notified when other videos such as this and many others come available on our channel. There, it's probably in better focus there. I was this way. I forgot that I changed the focus field a bit for this different camera angle. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this Board Game Maniacs. I'm really starting to enjoy painting miniatures. I did before, but I'm enjoying them more and more because you can see like all this battle damage that you can pull off, and I'm really liking that a lot. So I hope you enjoy too as well. So tune in next time where we'll paint the Space Marine in this color scheme too as well. So until next time, Board Game Maniacs, you know what I'm gonna say, and that is, be a maniac, right? Be a maniac, be a maniac, and paint with a maniac. See you next time. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to keep up to date with Board Game Maniacs, click on the like and subscribe button to be notified when more videos come available. If you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, go to patreon.com/BoardGameManiacs. Or you can go to streamlabs.com/BoardGameManiacs1. That's right, and you can donate to help keep the lights on, keep food in our bellies, and play more games. We'll purchase more games, more equipment to make Board Game Maniacs evolve and get bigger and larger. Because of you, the viewers, I thank you from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head for all of your support. And until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac.